wonder what this car is based on. It's based on a Volkswagen Beetle. Being a kit car of the 70s, that's maybe not surprising. A lot of beach buggies were based on the Beetle as well. But it was designed in '71 by a chap called Richard Oakes with the help of his friend Phil Sayers. And the first body was produced in 1972. They were produced in Southampton. It was a firm called ADD. And after a few years in the 70s of producing Mark I bodies there, business shifted to West Yorkshire to a new company, and they started producing the Mark II. And my Nova and the other two road legal ones in Scotland are all Mark IIs that originate from West Yorkshire. Well, my name is Alistair, and this is my Nova kit car, which was put together in 1983. I bought the car from Mike Abel in Aberdeen in 1983, and basically drove it for about 5 years without doing too much other than getting the car painted. A good friend, Ian Reid, who was a paint sprayer, was really keen to paint this unusual car, and after a fair bit of persuasion we eventually agreed that he would paint it. He's done a fantastic job. As I say, it was 1988 it was painted, and it's still gleaming today. As part of that, I remodeled the back of the car, removed the bumper and lowered the body to hide more of the engine. And Ian suggested the lights, the rear lights there, Vauxhall Cavalier Mark II turned upside down. The front indicators are Ford Escort Mark I, and these were Ian's suggestions. And then I just enjoyed driving it. Probably the longest journey I did way back then was in 1990. I drove it all the way down to Stoneleigh in Warwickshire for the National Kit Car Show, along with another friend, John Henry, who had a white Nova. And at that time, the fun of driving two of these cars down the M6 was tremendous. We did tend to get boxed in a lot with people having a look and taking photos, but it was great fun, and fortunately there were no mishaps. In '91, I took the car off the road and tucked it up in the garage and forgot about it, because life got in the way, as it does, extending the house, renovating the house, having children. And it wasn't until 2016 that I looked at it in the garage and I thought, I really need to do something here, because it was covered in boxes. I knew by then that the floor pans were rotten. The interior had been devoured by the mice and it absolutely stank. The electrics had been chewed by the mice, and so I was honestly going to sell it because I thought it was too big an undertaking to get it back on the road. But I joined a forum online called Euronova Forum, and it's mainly UK members, but there are members from the States, Australia, France, Germany, places like that. And collectively they encouraged me to have a go at getting the car back on the road. My only welding experience to that time was arc welding, and it wasn't very good. But they said, buy yourself a decent welder and just practice. So I got myself a Sealy Super MIG 180 and plenty bits of old metal, and practiced until I was happy I could jump on it without breaking it, and then started cutting out the floor pans and fitting new ones. I was a wee bit apprehensive when it came to lowering the floor pans, because I had to take the angle grinder to these brand new floors. But I was happy with the quality of my work by that time, and really pleased with the results. The other bit that I found daunting was electrics. I was never really good at electrics, but a good friend of mine, Phil Fenton, who's got another road legal Nova in Scotland, persuaded me that he felt the same, but he had a go, and it's just a case of breaking it down into the small individual circuits rather. So that's what I did, and it actually turned out to be one of the most satisfying parts of the build. Another part of the restoration was that with the mice having devoured the interior, I had a blank canvas basically after I'd ripped it all out. And one of the key things I wanted was to get a good pair of seats. So I approached a company in England called Intertrim, who produce a variety of sports seats, and was attracted by their Stoneleigh seats, which are narrower than normal, and this was required to fit into the lowered floor pans. So I pushed the boat out and got full leather seats and asked them to embroider an image of the Nova in the headrests, which they did, and I think just really looks the part. Another aspect of the interior was I remodelled the dashboard, took the whole dashboard out and more or less started from scratch. But to get into the gauges and the dials, I felt access had to be made easy. So the dash pod has been fitted with a pair of hinges for a small double glazing unit, which enables me to lift it up into the vertical position to get access to the wiring and the fuses and such like. Last year, when I got the car on the road, I just ran it with, it looked like a tinfoil interior. It was the soundproofing on the walls and the floor. And going to shows, I tended to keep the roof down so that folk didn't look too closely. But one of the jobs over the winter was to line the interior, so I got the carpets in on the floor and got the four-way stretch material on the walls and boxed in the electrics on the back wall and such like, so that it looks more like a finished production car now. It's got an air-cooled Volkswagen engine, which started life as a 1300, but it's been fitted with a big bore kit to take it up to 1776cc. It's got a deeper sump, an external oil filter, an external oil cooler added. It's basically simple mechanics, and when I was doing the restoration, I could have gone down the route of fitting a Ford engine or a Subaru engine or something like that, but I was determined to respect the roots of the kit, which was very much Volkswagen based and in the 70s. And to be honest, for the weight of the car, it's about 3/4 of the weight of the original Beetle. It's got enough power. When I mentioned Phil actually wrote a book about the Nova, and he's got a Facebook page. If you just search for Nova Kit Car on Facebook, you'll find his Facebook page. His Nova is in Gulf livery colours. It's a wrap which he wrapped himself. He's done a really good job. And the only other road legal Nova in Scotland is owned by Dave Kinloch over in Glasgow. His is black and gold and done out in JPS colours. And we've managed to get all three Novas together at various shows in Scotland, which is quite a rare sight. Yeah, so what does the future hold for this car? I've owned it for 38 years now. That's more than half my life. It's very much part of the family. I'll never sell it. We have a joke in the family that when it comes time for me to go, they have to dig a big hole and put me in the car in the hole. I hope they don't. I hope they keep it going. But as far as I'm concerned, you know, I'm just enjoying taking it to shows, seeing the smiles on people's faces, talking to people who remember them from the past, talking to people who have never seen them and want to know more. And it's a great way to spend a Sunday afternoon, to be honest.